There we go, fellas. Welcome to Gabbin' and Games. I appreciate you being here. I was not going to go live today. I'm still trying to figure out this podcast streaming conundrum that I'm currently in. So I was going to record a non-live podcast. But then I was just like, you know what? I have enough content. Let me just stream and I'll just edit it tomorrow. So I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure out how I'm going to handle it and how I'm going to do it, because it takes a full day to edit this show into podcast form unless I just put it up on as is. But I think that's not really going to be the best way to make the podcast sing, if you know what I mean. So anyway, welcome to Gabbin' and Games. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're here with me tonight. Thanks for showing up so late. I appreciate it. We will talk about a lot of things tonight. We're going to talk about PlayStation sales figures that just dropped. We are going to talk about some Xbox news. We're going to talk a little bit. We're not going to hit the beat a dead horse with Activision, but there is some new Activision stuff coming out today about just what a putrid company that is. We're going to talk a little bit about the Annapurna showcase. There was some interesting games shown today, as well as a bigger picture question about how games are marketed. So we have a lot going on. As always, I'm going to put myself right now into the call-in show room. If you would like to call into the show and gab and chat about tonight's topics, or really much anything, I will put you on. And you just put yourself into the call-in waiting room on the Discord. We have Rob the Mod here tonight. We have Bukaki Drive-By here tonight, making sure everybody stays on the straight and narrow. So with that said, we will get rolling. When is the financial report from Sony, says Mr. Sarcastic. It's coming up in just a second, sir. But first, what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about just an interesting rhythm in my life in terms of game playing. I was going through this phase when I was playing a lot of Returnal and a lot of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and I couldn't separate myself from PlayStation. All I was doing was playing my PS5. And then I went on a PC kick, and now I am on a Xbox Series X kick. It's constant releases of things I'm interested in. Death's Door, I'm playing. I don't agree with the massive love that game is getting. I think it's good. I don't know why people are losing their shit over it, but it's good. And I'm enjoying playing that. I'm playing Microsoft Flight Sim that had it on the PC, but it was too much of a hog for my machine. Playing it on the Series X is just the right way for me to do it. I'm enjoying playing it there. It's getting a lot more playtime than I thought it would. I kind of figured I'd play with it, download it for, on Game Pass for a day or two and then be done with it. But I'm playing it a lot more. And then I just started playing The Ascent today. And I like it. I know the reviews are mixed. I don't love it. I think, I was playing with some people who just found me and said, Jaffe, come into our game. I played with them today. And it's good. I don't know if I'm going to find myself addicted to sort of what the loop is. There's definitely kind of a sci-fi Diablo aspect to it. And I like that about it. I like the cyberpunk meets Diablo angle, but I don't think the moment-to-moment stuff on Ascent feels as good as I wish it would in terms of the guns and things like that. The shooting, like, it's a twin-stick shooter. The shooting does not feel anywhere near as good as the Housemarque twin-stick shooters, right? But it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'll play that a little bit more. And then Psychonauts is just around the corner. So it's a good time to be an Xbox owner for sure. It is a good time to be a PlayStation owner, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. I want to tell you some numbers that dropped. But before we get to that, somebody asked me in the chat, did I order a Playdate? And if you don't know Playdate, it's that little hand crank yellow thing, which I think is like $200 to pre-order the fucking thing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to pre-order that fucking thing. What the fuck would I spend $200 on a little fucking novelty game? I mean, maybe it'll be worth getting, but it almost seems like a game system made for hipsters. I'm not mocking it. I'm not saying there's not an audience for it. I'm just saying that I'm not really all that interested unless it just starts, spewing amazing high quality titles. But Nodog says it's better than Blood Roots, which was just one hit cheap. I love Bloodroots. If you don't know what he's talking about, Bloodroots is a game that is on Game Pass now, but it came out indie about 2 months ago. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think Bloodroots is wonderful. It is very weird, and it takes a little time to get your head around what it is, because it's not what it looks like. In a lot of ways, it looks like it's going to be an isometric twin-stick shooter or a twin-stick melee game or something like that. But in reality, it is really almost like a build-your-own Jackie Chan puzzle sort of game. And I adore it. Nawdog says, wait, you finished it. So wait, did you like it or not? Because it sounded like you were saying it was a cheap one-stop kill game. Sumo says Last Stop, which is also on Game Pass as well as Steam and other places by the guys who made Virginia, is really good. I hear that's very good as well. What is G&G? Hello, Salty's Gamer. It just stands for Gabbin' Games. It just can't fit all the characters in. I'm not having a stroke. I'm just reading. Neto says I would buy a Playdate if it was not expensive for me. I mean, here's the deal. At this point, I would buy an Amico before I buy a Playdate. But we'll see. We'll fucking see. I mean, I'm excited. You know, look, if people come out and start talking about Playdate and saying it's filled with really cool games, I'll pick it up. I am playing Ascent right now, actually. It's good. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but it's good. But anyway, yeah. So, Rez, thank you so much, buddy, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Good to see you again, as always. Christopher Gorley says, I was not a fan of Virginia. Right, their last game, the guys who made the new, whatever it's called, Lost something. I wasn't either. I thought it was interesting, but it was pretty boring. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to the new one just because people are talking about it. So wait, Nawdog, you did play it, you beat it, the ending sucked, but did you like Bloodroots? It gets very repetitive. Okay, I've made it to Act 2, so maybe it'll come to a point where I just abandon it. Curtis, we're actually about to talk about that right now. Curtis says, Jaffe, do you think 500,000 copies is good or bad for a first-party AAA game, cough, cough, Returnal? Let's go right into it, baby. Let's go right into it. So, yeah, there are two numbers that came out. There's a bunch of numbers. PlayStation has sold 10 million, which is phenomenal. They were talking about Miles Morales, I think, is at 6.5 million. But they also dropped some numbers for two games that is really what the is really what the topic of tonight's show is about, which is Sony may be becoming so successful in a specific way that they're going to actually kind of paint themselves into a corner. So they dropped numbers first off for Returnal. Returnal is one of my Game of the Year nominees. I adore that game. Phenomenal fucking game. Rightly so, Housemarque allowed itself to be acquired by Sony. It's a great relationship. They make phenomenal titles. I said when that game dropped that it was the Blade Runner of video games. And then I thought, what's up, buddy? Gimme. That's either yours or mine. Hang on, fellas. Calvin has shown. Special alert from Cal. Hang on. Oh.
It's like empty.
Oh, no. New package from Amazon. You got the nose rings, right?
Yeah.
Those are on your desk? Okay. Here we go.
They were kind of bad, but I just needed to see what I wanted. So it's okay.
And you're good?
Yeah.
Oh, this is for me, not for you. It's a stem for my pipe.
Huh.
Yeah, you don't care. Take this beast out. Thanks, buddy. You want to shut the door, bud? Thanks, Cal. Yeah, because, I broke the stem on my pipe, man. And I ordered a new one. I hope it fits. God, I hope it fits. Come on now. Goddamn thing don't fit. Gonna have to get another one. God damn it. Oh, I love my pipe, but I broke the stem because I chew on it too much. Guess I'm sending that back. Anyway. Mail time. Anyway, listen. So they dropped Returnal. I love Returnal. It's a phenomenal game. One of the best things I've played in a very, very long time. And they said, hey, fellas, it's sold about, give or take, 500,000 copies. $70 title. And look, man, I'll go on record and say that, even though I don't know, I did say it was like Blade Runner and that it was a phenomenal game. It's going to be a cult classic, but it's probably not going to do all that well. And I think that's kind of coming to bear, right? Think about this for a minute. So the title cost $70 million. I think it actually said they sold 560,000. But so let's be generous and say 60. Let's say 600,000. So it is sold 600,000 copies. At $70, you're looking at $42 million, give or take. You're looking at $42 million. And then that 42 doesn't all go to Sony. Now, these numbers are not just like you see when you see them on the NPD or something. This is Sony releasing figures. So it's digital and it's physical, and it's as accurate as we're going to get out in the real world. So $42 million, some of that goes to retail, not as much as used to, because digital makes up the main, especially in a game like that, I would imagine. But digital makes up the lion's share. But some of it goes to retail. And then even though, yes, it's all under the Sony umbrella, your profitability at companies like this is not just like if retail takes 10 million of it, okay, we have 32 million and it goes to the budget. No, then you've got the servers, the PSN group, you've got a bunch of different, the marketing group. There's a lot of places that have to sort of take their, to get sort of paid back before you get to profit, right? So even if retail didn't take any money, and even if the other Sony divisions didn't make any money, and all that money from 6 million copies sold went right to the bottom line of Returnal, I don't think they would be close, because you would have to have made that game for basically $42 million. It was a game that was in production for a very long time. I do not think that is going to happen. What I will tell you, though, is there is a chance for this game. And this is not like Concrete Genie. This is not like Drawn to Death. Those are games that came out, and as much as people loved both of them to an extent, more Concrete than mine, than Drawn to Death, it was clear that they just didn't hit the sweet spot. Returnal's a different case. Sony has a classic on their hands. First party Sony. This is not Housemarque's fault. These are not the external producers that Sony brings in. I don't know what studio managed it's fault. This is executives' fault. Okay, it is a brilliant game, and I'm not saying it would ever reach the heights of Spider-Man, which is much more mainstream. But there were the three things they should do in order to make this game, if not profitable or even meaningful profitable. They need to respect this game more, because it's fucking brilliant. They need to lower the price, first off, of course. It needs to be worst case $39, best case $29 for a while, or just put the goddamn thing on PSN or PS Now and use it as a driver. But let's keep it at retail for the moment and digital. They need to sell it for $29 to $39. It needs to go to PC as fast as humanly possible. It would be wonderful if you could mod it, but let's assume that's not in the card. So going to PC, dropping the price on Returnal, and then I really think, and this is coming from a guy who loves the game, I think they need to add a mode to it, a difficulty mode to it. I do not think there needs to be an easy mode. I'm not suggesting make this game super easy. I think the normal mode needs to stay where it is. They should add a trophy for completing it. They should add a skin or a giveaway or whatever. But there needs to be a mode that doesn't call itself easy mode, that puts, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could put a save point after boss number 2, or you could make Ember. Ember's the stuff you collect in the game. It's kind of hard to come by, and you have to collect 6 pieces of Ember in order to activate this machine that lets you clone yourself. So if you die, you can respawn from that machine, and you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. I would rather see the checkpoint or the save point. But ultimately, the problem with the game is, I get it's punishing. I get it's supposed to be punishing. I get and love how it's how that is enmeshed within or entwined within the structure of the actual narrative. I think it's brilliant. But I think even me, as much as I adore this game, I haven't beaten boss number 2 yet. And I know that I'm not going to come to a save point until boss number 4, right? And I just, you know, the word of mouth is out there, and people go, I don't even want to try it. I'm a guy who loves it, and I don't want to play it anymore as much as I love it, because I just know that I am not going to be able to really ever make much more progress in this game. So lower the price, make sure it goes to PC. and absolutely 100% put the goddamn thing. Give it an easy mode. Don't give it a fucking baby mode. Sorry, easy is the wrong word. Give it a normal mode and make normal hard. Right. Anyway, there you go. That would be my suggestion to Jimmy Ryan. Okay. There's another number that dropped though, and they're both troubling though. They're both troubling. The Ratchet and Clank numbers dropped. Okay. The Ratchet and Clank numbers dropped, and they have sold in a month a little over 1 million copies. Okay. Now that's obviously better. Really, Jaffe, is this would be more, wouldn't it? Really? Naughty Dog says then they buy the developer. Yeah. Because they're fucking phenomenal. That's a great buy. Housemarque is phenomenal. This was not Housemarque's fault. This was Sony executives' fault. Either at the PD level, where the executive producer should have stepped in and said, "Look, we know you're making a roguelike, a little bit of a light, but a roguelike for the most part, and we get it, we love it. You gotta dial it back, fellas, a little bit." A little fucking bit, just like they did with, they should have done with All-Stars, the Battle Royale All-Stars, the fighting game. It's like, we know you guys are hardcore fighting games, guys, but you need to dial this back a little bit because you're going to hurt our chances. That wasn't the reason it didn't do well, but it did well, but it don't have a sequel right now. But anyway, regardless though, so moving on to Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank sold about 1 million copies. Ratchet and Clank sold for $70, so obviously there were 70 million. Obviously, as we said, that's not all profit by any means. It spreads out, but even if it was 70, I don't think that game was only 70 million. Even before Sean Layden left, he was saying that PS4 games, this was a PS5 game, were costing 120 to like 170 million. And PS5 games are going up higher, right? Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, phenomenal game. I call it a classic. I think it's one of the probably the prettiest game I've ever played in my life. It was a joy to play from beginning to end. Just excellent game. One of the best pieces of just mainstream video game entertainment I've ever seen. Fucking phenomenal. This is a game that was made in Burbank, and it was also made in North Carolina. So it's not like, well, yeah, but we made it with the cheap team. I don't mean they were the B team like they're shitty. Because they have done some of the Ratchets before. I mean the cheap team, like cost of living is less in North Carolina, so I don't assume they pay their people as much. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But regardless, though, they're in North Carolina and Burbank. It was all hands on deck for this game well, not all hands, but most hands on deck with this game. So the budget's high. You're dealing with $1 million, 1 million sales. I don't know what your break even is, but they certainly haven't acquired that or reached that break even if you're saying 70 million is all they've made so far. Okay. The bigger picture I'm going to get to in just a second. But I want to talk a little bit more about Ratchet because on one hand, I want to show you, I want you to look at your screen for a second, if you will, this is an email a tweet I got from. Both these guys follow me. Tony Palanaco, I guess is a games writer, games journalist. He says, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart only selling 1 million disturbs me. I thought the game would have sold 2 to 3 million easily in the first month. And you can't say the install base isn't there either because it most certainly is. What are people playing on their PS5s? This confounds me. And then Sklari wrote me and said, hey, Jaffe, do you have an explanation? And I kind of do have an explanation. Or I have a theory. Okay, and the theory is, first off, I would be surprised if Sony was surprised by this, right? Right, Zaf has it exactly. Ratchet and Clank was never a big seller. That's exactly correct, and people are confused by it because if you look at this, this is a really interesting chart, by the way. If you're just curious, I'll put it in the chat. These are the top. This is as of this year, as of February 2021. These are the top 10 PlayStation selling franchises. So Spyro at 20 million, SingStar 20 million, Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man before Miles Morales is included at 21 million because Spider-Man itself is already at 20. Last of Us, 24 million. These are franchises. Now, Ratchet and Clank, 26 million. Okay, this is where I think things get a little, why people get a little confused with well, what do you mean? Why didn't Ratchet do better? So, and by the way, I don't know if I would agree with you, Salty, on that. Salty says it's the top-selling Ratchet game of all time already. Well, we'll talk about that. So here's what's interesting. So Spider-Man, for example, take Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets to 21 million with one game. The Last of Us gets to 24 million with two games, or 2.5 games if you include the remaster that came on over to the PS4. Uncharted is a massive jump to 44 million. So how in the world is this at 26 million? Well, it's at 26 million because if you look at your screen, the number, I would say this series, the number of games they have made in the Ratchet and Clank series, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're looking at almost 20. Almost 20 fucking games, right? So spread across those titles, sure. It sold a lot as a franchise, but one by one individually, they don't do as well as I think people like this guy who tweeted me, Tony and Sklari. Tony didn't tweet me, but Sklari did. I don't think they do as well as people expect. And that was kind of a surprise to me as well. But I know Salty is saying it's already the best selling. I don't know if that's actually true because I was looking at figures that said when Ratchet and Clank PS4 came out, which was the remake of the first Ratchet and Clank, I think, they were saying that was the best-selling Ratchet and Clank ever. And I want to say that did 2 million when that came out in the first month. But regardless, though, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It must look. Sony knows. Sony's got all of this history of how many Ratchet and Clank games they've released. They must know which way the wind blows on this series. I don't think they were thinking it was going to be an Uncharted game in terms of sales, certainly not a Spider-Man game. So my assumption is that they budgeted accordingly. I can't imagine they wouldn't have. But it's a great... But again, here's the bigger point, though. Both of these games are absolutely phenomenal. Both of these games are two of the best things that I have played all year long. They are just great fucking games, okay? Somebody says, Magic Circle says, dude, people still can't get PS5s. Those numbers are nothing before the market is saturated. The problem with that, though, with that theory, okay, is that you have to factor in a couple of things if you're going to use there's not enough PS5s for people to buy, right? If you're going to use that, then you also have to start to factor in, okay, well, if you're going to compare them, and you're going to kind of have this sort of fuzzy math of, well, what would it be if there were enough PS5s? You have to do two things. You have to say, well, then let's go back to the last Ratchet and Clank that came out when there were plenty of PS4s, and that still outsold in the first month the new one, which that makes sense. But if you look at Spider-Man Miles Morales, which came out on PS5, PS4, this did double the sales on PS5 in the first month. It sold 3.3 million copies. Actually, sorry, in the first 3 days. And 4.1 in over a month. And I think when I talked to somebody at Sony, I can't tell you who, you'd know who they are. They said to me that Miles Morales, PS4, and 5 sold more, but it wasn't like drastic. It was like almost the same, but 5 sold a little bit more. Okay, so if you're being conservative and you just cut that number in half and go, okay, 2 million for PS4, 2 million, you're still talking 1 million copies more, and you still have that limited supply of PS5s, right? So I'm not saying the titles aren't going to keep selling. I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. Here's the bigger point. First, to answer this guy's question, this guy, Tony or Sklar, what's your explanation? Is this confounding? Not really, because ultimately, and this is why the title of this stream is titled, flamboyantly or hyperbolically about, is Sony's success going to ultimately hurt them? Because I feel they have painted themselves into a corner. I feel that they have really defined their brand in such a way that the only way they can continue to please their customers is to keep spending more money, right? Because if you look, Sony has been trying to crack that all ages audience for a long time. but they're not there. They've been trying with Jack and Daxter. They've been trying with Ratchet. They've been trying with Sly Cooper. They tried with Little Big Planet, the new one, the Sackboy one from Sumo, which is a phenomenal fucking game as well. And they always do okay, but they never. Their core audience are you know, they want action, they want violence, they want M-rated games, they want you know. They want M-rated games. They want violence. They want things that are more mature and feel more like what they see in the movies, right? In terms of adult. Hang on. Calvin? What is he barking at? Cal? What the fuck's he barking at? Well, why is he barking at the door? Fucking dog. I'm going to cut out his voice box. No, I'm not. Come on now. Oh my God. Ace, shut the fuck up. That dog, man. Listen to me. But they've tried it. They've tried it. They don't get there. They don't, you know, they tried it with Puppeteer, which was brilliant. Sumo in the chat saying it's because they turn all their kids' games dark. Okay, maybe. But I don't think you would. I don't think Ratchet and Clank is dark. I don't think so. And if you compare it to the people who have the market, I know Danny Sullivan in the chat says, I like kiddie games and M-rated games. I appreciate that. But ultimately, look at this. Super Mario Odyssey sold 2 million. Oh, that's who it was. Thank you, buddy. Mm-hmm. Super Mario Odyssey sells 2 million in the first 3 days. The first 3 days. I'm just saying that audience is already accounted for. And if Sony keeps saying, our shit's super expensive, our shit costs $70, you know, you either go for this big family market or you don't. I think that's part of it. I also think it's their budget. So here's the point. Spider-Man 2 we know is coming. God of War Ragnarok we know is coming. We know Horizon Forbidden West is coming. The good news is Sony's about to have a fucking amazing 12, 18 months, whenever. I mean, we know that God of War and Horizon will be out sooner than that. I'm sure they will announce Spider-Man 2 pretty soon. And so, you know, for Sony to continue succeeding where they succeed, they're off to the fucking races. These are going to be big, massive hits for them. But ultimately, what this launch group of titles has to be teaching these guys is Ratchet and Clank has always, like, I think it was Sumo, somebody in the chat said, historically, those games haven't ever sold, they've sold between 1 and 3 million right here. But the budgets are going up. A game as amazing and brilliant as Returnal, at least for $70, unless they change some things, didn't really connect. Sackboy didn't really connect. Destruction All-Stars, which we are going to talk about a little bit later in the show, so far hasn't really connected. If you're Sony, I imagine the lesson, I could be wrong on this, but it seems like the lesson you would take is let's keep doing what's working. What's working is Uncharted, it's The Last of Us, it's God of War, it's these big expensive takes, these big cinematic takes that we know is going to deliver us to the promised land. The question is, yeah, you paint yourself into a corner with that, though. Because, you know, I mean, I know they're trying some other things. I know that Jade Raymond's game is smaller. It's more of a service game. And I'm sure they'll get there. I hear Guerrilla's working on a multiplayer shooter. I'm sure they'll get there. But I don't know how much the appetite I mean, maybe the appetite doesn't matter if they have the appetite. They got to be looking at the tea leaves and going, we have got to start making money outside of this very lucrative but very specific niche, because the audience isn't growing, the budgets are growing, and sooner or later, it's not going to be sustainable. There you go. So that's the point. That's the point. Okay. Let me go to the chat. By the way, Ace was barking because we ordered DoorDash from 7-Eleven. If you're listening and not watching, I have a cherry Slurpee. Saltiest Gamer, why do you disagree? Saltiest Gamer, call. I'm gonna bring some people on to talk about this before we get to the next topic. Salties, I would love to get you on the show right now and tell me why you disagree with that. You're a smart guy. You watch the market. I'm giving you facts and figures. Explain to me what I'm missing, because I don't have to be right in this. Let me bring in Rohan, who's been waiting first, though. Rohan, it is Jaffe. How are you, sir? What's going on, buddy? Rohan, where have you been all my life? Rohan, God damn it, get in here, motherfucker. Where are you? All right, I'm going to bring somebody else on. Okay, Rohan was not there. God damn it. I will bring on Sweet. Oh, Rohan, are you there? Rohan. All right, well, no one can hear you, buddy. I'm going to bring in this guy. All right, this is Sweet Night. Am I saying it right? Sweet Night. Nobody can hear anybody. What the fuck's going on? Hang on a second. All right. Can you hear me? You guys can't hear me at all. Call in waiting room. Hang on a second, fellas. 1 second. You don't mess with the Rohan. That's right. Why can I hear you guys? It's got to be my settings. Hang on. Sorry. That's one of the things I love about the podcast, though, is I don't get as stressed anymore, because if you're here live, you're here live. I don't know if you've ever been to a live show. Like I've seen like Raw, WWE Raw and SmackDown. No, I didn't see Raw. I saw SmackDown. And I've seen like, talk shows, taping and stuff. And I don't know if you'd be surprised or not, but I was fascinated by how different the live show is from the recorded show. And I know I shouldn't be surprised by that, but regardless, I was surprised by that. I was like, wow, it really is a different experience, a totally different experience. Okay. User settings, because they stop taping and they adjust things. And okay, input device is my microphone. Output device should be my speakers. Let's test it. Test. Interesting. Yeah, it's not playing. So we're having technical difficulties. Hang on, I'll be right. I'm not going anywhere, but let's figure this out. It's hard to stay alive in the big league, says VVLMM. I don't know how David Jaffe did it for many years. You got to feel what most gamers want to stay alive with these. I don't understand what you wrote. You got feel what most gamers want to stay alive with these AAA. I was enjoying your comment for a moment, and then I got incredibly confused by what in the fuck you're talking about, sir. If you want to write it again, though, I'm totally down to read it again. I think, you know what it was? There we go. There we go, baby. My speakers weren't plugged up. Let's try this again now. Test. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now, see, it's technical difficulties. Rohan, that's all on me, buddy. What's going on, sir? Rohan, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Hang in there. Hang in there, baby. Rohan, goddamn it.
Hey, can you hear me?
You goddamn right. What's going on, sir?
Hey, what's going on?
Doing the stream.
Yeah, so I was watching, listening. So where do we want to start? We're going to start with the PS5 and the sustainability of these big titles that they're going to have to lean into.
Yes.
I mean, so I enjoy the big titles they put out. I like the Uncharted, I like the God of War. I understand that, they do need to grow the audience. And I enjoy it. I bought Returnal. I bought the game digital, right? So
yeah, I bought it too. I love it. Phenomenal game.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it had some issues when it first came out, but I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the game's not worth 70." But I was like, it's a launch window title, and I was interested in it from the time I saw the trailers. I liked the concept. I kind of wish they had did more with the story, because they had a cool concept with the story, but they didn't really go as far as I think they could have. And I love the aesthetic, right? I love the alien vibe, the guns. I mean, it just has this atmosphere to it. So I like the game. Um, beat it a couple of times. Haven't gone back to it in a while, but every now and then I can just kind of pick it up and play it. It's one of those games you just kind of jump into.
Okay, so what do you think the problem is, though? I mean, no one, it's 500,000 copies after what, 3 months is not.
I think $70 hurt it. I think that perception out there of the games are now $70, is that that is gonna hurt some of these titles, especially for games that people aren't, they're not that the difficulty of it. That was really the topic of conversation when the game was out. So, oh, the game's too hard. It's really unforgiving. It's too brutal. I don't think people were willing to kind of jump into that. Um, and just I I I I think it's both of those things. I don't know what else it could be.
But how do you think they survive that then? Because if they lower their prices and they're basically saying that, our prices are what they are because budgets are going up, you and I both really enjoyed the game. Would you have enjoyed it as much if maybe it didn't look as good or sound as good and they didn't spend as much money on it?
Well, see, then you get yourself in trouble because if the game doesn't look as good, if it doesn't justify, hey, this is a PS5 game, right? And it looks like, hey, I could play this on PS4. Um, you know, then you get that crowd, you get that knock against it. So I don't know. I think they're in a tight spot. Um, I bought Ratchet and Clank too. I bought that, pretty much the day after it came out. I played that. I enjoyed it. I do have a bit of a, I thought the game was a little bit too easy. And then I thought that the challenge areas, right, where you go into the rift portals, I thought those are just ridiculously simple. I mean, it's like there was really, you didn't have to really think about like doing anything. It was just like, oh man, it's over already.
But yeah,
30
you
seconds.
have to remember you're talking about a game that's made for family audiences, though. But I mean, it's not trying to be a hardcore title, but
Right, and I don't think it has to be, but I'm just saying in terms of like some creativity, in terms of just like think outside the box a bit more. I thought those sections were just very straightforward and just they didn't really challenge me to think differently. And as far as the whole concept, right, which they're going for, of like you got the different dimensions. I didn't really see any aspects of it where I had to kind of think outside the box of, all right, how am I going to get over here if I can jump through portals and stuff? I didn't. I don't think they
gotcha.
really.
All right, yeah, I'm with you. I
Yeah.
loved it, but I understand. All right, Rohan, thank you for the call as always, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, well, people are saying it wasn't okay. So Curtis says it wasn't $70 with the issue. If Dark Souls 4 came out and sold, it would sell for 70. It would sell. Yeah, but that's now got a brand though, right? And somebody else was saying, Returnal. This a different era says Returnal sold 500,000 due to media coverage of it being difficult and hard to play. That will only appeal to a certain audience. Are Souls rogue games notorious for selling millions? Certain rogue games are. I think Hades sold really fucking well, but it didn't cost as much as Returnal. Souls games took a while to catch on, but yeah, I mean, Bloodborne 2, for example, is over 2 million, which is not a massive hit. But again, that's not even the point. Of course, it's a niche title. The question is, did it have to be like it was? If they would have done a little bit with a different tuning mode, and they would have said, you know what, this price is too much, they could have had something that went beyond a niche title, is all I'm saying, is all my point is. I'm sorry about the audio problems today, fellas. We'll do our best to keep everybody rolling. All right, let's move on to Sweet Night. Sweet Night, what's up, bud?
Hey, how's it going?
You.
I'm good. I'm good. Cutting in a little bit.
Talk about, go.
Oh, I was just gonna ask the question. Do you think Sony's kind of first party lineup, the ones that sell really good, are pretty well essentially the same game? They're very Assassin's Creedy. They're third-person open world games. Do you think they've almost trained their audience to kind of expect or want those experiences when you see stuff that's a little bit more, say, creative, like Ratchet and Clank or Returnal, not selling as well as their kind of Assassin's Creed style design?
I think there's a big conversation that is probably just starting to ramp up about, and I talked about it on the previous stream about what Sean Layden was saying about needing to grow not the audience of gamers. We know that there are console gamers, we know that there's cell phone gamers and all that shit. But the idea that there is this gulf between you're either hardcore and you're comfortable, not even hardcore, but you're kind of a gamer and you're comfortable with that title, and you're comfortable with the controller and you're comfortable with these kinds of games, like you're saying, Assassin's Creed and whatnot, or you're just good with Candy Crush. But it's weird there's not a mid-level where really most people live, or at least when you look at other mediums. And so I think one of the things Sony, and that's what I'm saying, I think Sony, Sony is ruling the roost right now, and they should be thrilled they're ruling the roost. But ultimately, I think you're absolutely right. There is someone, and it might be Sony, is going to come along and figure out how to bring that massive group of people who aren't playing games right now. I think, like I said, the estimate is between 250 and 350 million split across all the consoles every generation going back to 1994. And if you don't grow that, they're going to be in trouble. So I do think that what Sony has done is Sony has done exactly what I think most people would do, is they found a sweet spot where they excel, they're phenomenal. But now it's starting to get too expensive to stay there if they don't have other things to offset the cost, right? So I don't think people aren't trained to play Ratchet and Clank. I think the people who are more inclined to play Ratchet and Clank are already playing stuff like that on the Switch. All right, bud, thanks for the call. I appreciate it, man. Call back anytime, sir. I'll bring in these. Let me bring in these real quick, then we're going to change topics. Northy Tunes is Jaffe. Go. What's up, buddy?
It is I. Hey, so I'm just kind of wondering about, is there an issue that the range of game developers and people who sort of want to come up with these sort of like AAA big sort of video games are kind of stuck with their influences of their childhood of like watching 80s cartoons and things like that we're not really hip enough with the youth of today?
If it's a subject matter issue, I think I think honestly it has more to do at this point with the kind of things that gamers are demanding. If you're talking about at the price point we're talking about, I don't think Returnal would have sold better if it wasn't about a person who crashed on a planet and it was sci-fi themed, because the best-selling movies of all time are sci-fi fantasy themed. The best-selling or the most watched TV series for the most part, if are things like Game of Thrones, and people talk about Westworld and stuff. So I don't think it's that it's too geeky for the room. I think it's honestly has to do with it's very hard until someone comes in and shows us how to do it. It's almost like we need this generation's Miyamoto to come in and say, okay, you guys have been making and playing games for a long time at this level that are more skill-based. We need to do some stuff that allows them to still be mentally engaging, but we've got to find a way to get more people in if you guys want to keep seeing these production values. Somebody in the chat saying, yeah, the number of people who played Fortnite is 500 million. 500 million. So, there's definitely people out there that are gaming, and Sony's not benefiting from that. Microsoft's not benefiting from that. And I'm sure they must be worried about it. Well, Microsoft's benefiting from it because they own Minecraft, but Sony doesn't have any of that shit.
Yeah. So one thing I was kind of thinking about was a while back you had mentioned you wanted to do like Twisted Metal and more of like a gangster Fast and the Furious kind of Saints Row kind of style. And personally, I think that probably could have worked really, really well in terms of keeping the IP kind of relevant.
It was an attempt. There was a lot of reasons we didn't go that route, mostly because the team, in that case, you're right. The team was more like, this doesn't feel like Twisted Metal. And I was like, yes, I know. And they're like, yeah, but I don't want that. And frankly, the hardcore fans would have shit all over us if we did it. All right, man. Thank you for the call, Northy, as always. I appreciate it, bud.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. I guess, Saltiest, you're not going to call in? All right, let me get Fat Boo, then we're going to move on. Fat Boo, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
Here we go. Hello, Mr. Big Beard. How are you?
Ed, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How's your DoorDash food? Is it delicious?
It is phenomenal. What do you want to talk about?
So, I just want to hear like what would be your business approach to keep the PS5 sustainable? Because so far for me, like I bought a PS5, and I guess I'm like the niche audience. I bought it to play like some old PS4 games, exclusive games from Sony for the higher frame rate. God of War. I already beat on PS4, but I never played Ghost of Tsushima. I just beat it like a few weeks ago, and playing it at 60 frames was amazing. I'm currently playing FF7 Remake Intergrade. I never played it on PS4. 60 frames is amazing. So it's like, all right, is the PS5 going forward something where like cross gen is just advantageous? Is that why you buy a $500, $400 machine? Um, so I'm thinking like, you called it best, Jaffe. You could see the future. So that Ragnarok was going cross gen, other titles would go cross gen. They got to make their money back. But going forward, like, you have your cup, you throw down the tea leaves. What do you see, and what's the best approach to keep the PS5 sustainable going forward? Like $40 games, smaller studios making games like how Ninja Theory did with Hellblade. They believe that they make their game like that. Hellblade, it's like a high quality game, but it's 3 or 4 hour adventure. At $40 is a sweet spot. So that was their pitch, like I think 4 years ago when they were making Hellblade. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts. And
Sorry, Fat Boo. I got it. I will answer your question. Thank you, Fat Boo. I appreciate it. My thought. I mean, look. I don't think that me calling God of War Ragnarok cross-gen was a brilliant read. I think anybody that didn't have an emotional connection to this stuff would have gone, well, of course they're going to do that. Why would they not do that? They're leaving tons of money on the table. But that said, though, I think, like I said, Sony, we don't know all they're working on. We know, like I said earlier, we know Jade Raymond's studio is doing games as a service. There is a big drop, or not even big, but there's a potentially significant drop of new content today that we'll talk about in a little bit for Destruction All-Stars. That's still being supported. I don't know if that's ever going to get off the runway. Again, there's that rumored service-based shooter coming from Guerrilla. So I think they know what they need to do. I think they know they need to be able to sort of continue to make these big AAA action-adventure games that people love, that they're the best that there's ever been in making those games. And they also have got to diversify. And they've got to figure out why it hasn't worked so far. Like, historically, they have not successfully diversified their brand of games since PS2 days, right? I mean, if you look at all the stuff that tried to connect on PS3, I mean, Twisted Metal barely broke even. Puppeteer was a massive failure. Brilliant game, massive failure. I guess Little Big Planet connected, that's for sure, that's true. But if you look at like all the stuff they've tried that's weird on PS5, Death Stranding, Dreams, that was PS4, Death Stranding, Dreams, PS4, Sackboy on PS5, Destruction All-Stars, Returnal, whenever they kind of go out on a limb with these games, they don't work, they don't stick. All the stuff from Sony San Diego, of which mine was one, Drawn to Death. There was Guns Up, which was profitable, but it was so small, and it wasn't like it didn't register on the scale, at least for anyone other than people making it. Kill Strain, I think it's safe to say, was probably a bigger dud than Drawn to Death, maybe, but they were both duds. So I don't know how they're going to solve it or why they haven't cracked it yet, but I think they know they have to crack it. Otherwise, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So what's funny is Bacon Magma. See, Bacon Magma, here's the deal. This is why you will never go as far as you could in life. Bacon Magma says, the problem you claim they have is clearly not a problem for them since they're the market leader. Buddy, don't you understand? Don't you understand how this works? I hate this quote because it gets overused. But I'm going to use it for you, Bacon Magma, because I'm sure you haven't heard it, and it is incredibly appropriate. Where Wayne Gretzky says he was great, not because he skated where the puck was, but he went where the puck was going to be. Okay. That's the exact same thing Iwata from Nintendo quoted when he was talking about how they realized they couldn't compete with the technology of Microsoft and Sony. And so they had to come up with something different, which was the Wii and the dual screen. Okay. Of course they're the market leader now. No shit. That's not the point. They were also the market leader back in the PS2 days. Xbox 360 was the market leader for a long time in that generation. You have to be able to look ahead, not right in front of your face, or you're kind of fucked, man. Beastlayer says 110 million install base and all PlayStation people play are Call of Duty and Fortnite. He's not a child, Melina Khan. He is not. I've talked to him. He's a grown-ass fucking man. He's a grown-ass fucking man. Martin says, I haven't bought a single PS5 game at full price. In Brazil, the increase in game prices from 4 to 5, PS4 to 5 was about 80%. That's insane. Saltius says they'll be the market leader the entire generation. Again, here's what you guys don't understand, in my opinion. No offense, Salty. There's not like a trophy or a gold medal ceremony at the end that says you won, and then Jim Ryan and his fellow cohorts can breathe a sigh of relief at the end of the console war, you know, when they signed the peace treaty and go, Sony has declared the winner. It's about the money they make. It's about the profit they make, right? I'm not saying Xbox is going to ultimately make more money or Switch is or whatever, but it's not that they won't be the market leader. It's that they're at 10 million and Xbox is at 7 million. Xbox is cutting in, or 6.5 million. Xbox is cutting in. Switch is cutting in, right? Tablet is cutting in. PC is cutting in, right? It's not the fact that they will or won't be the market leader. It's the fact that you have to continually evolve in any industry, certainly the technology entertainment industry, or you are going to get left behind. That's all I'm fucking saying. That's all I'm fucking saying. Yeah, Saltius, you said Hades only sold 1 million. I want to look that up. I'm not saying I believe you, but I'm curious because and a lot of it is that game probably only cost 3 million to make. But hang on, Hades game sales. Let's see. Okay, 1 second. Let's go. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it. Hades Universal Acclaim. I want to see when this was written though. Here we go. Let's go to Wikipedia. Reception. Universal Acclaim. Blah blah blah. No, I don't want that. I want sales, baby. I want sales. This was a while ago though. I need more. I need recent data. This is like the million thing is coming from almost a year ago, September 2020. The game went on to win numerous Game of the Year awards. Since then, it got onto Switch. It's coming onto Xbox. My guess is it sold a lot more, but let's see what the budget was. Hades game budget. I don't know if they'll tell us this, but my guess is it did not cost a lot of money to make compared to something like Returnal. So, yeah, we're not going to know, but we certainly know it's done over 1 million copies. It was on PC and Switch, right? And then it's going to Xbox now. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Gupta, thank you. He says, I have an Xbox One S, PS4, and I'm getting Switch. Good for you, sir. I have all of those as well, except I don't have the S. I have the X. Okay, somebody's telling me the budget is somewhere. Hang on a second. It's not about winning a generation, though. It's not about win. That's what I'm saying. I'm done. I'm not even going to have these conversations anymore when it comes to that. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you can't come to this stream and understand we're talking about it at a nuanced level, I'm not a fanboy. I don't give a fuck who wins, right? I give a fuck about what it says about the market, what it says about gamers, what it says about the art form. Okay? Let's put it this way. If Xbox, I'm not saying they will, but if Xbox basically sells, when all is said and done, 87 million pieces of hardware, I know they're not basing it on hardware, let's just pretend they are, and PS5 ends up selling 140 million, that is, I'm not saying PlayStation isn't successful. I'm saying that shift from where they were to where they are, and the shift from what Sony is spending on a game like Ratchet and Clank to probably what Tim Schafer's company is spending on a game like Psychonauts 2 is so drastic that you can't just look at, Sony won the generation. It's meaningless. No one gets paid bonuses. Teams don't get funded. DLC doesn't get created based on what NeoGAF said the sales figures were and who won or not. That's all I'm fucking saying. Yes, Returnal is currently a failure at 560,000 copies. Yes, financially, yes, I believe it is. We don't know the budget, Salty. He says, what was the budget on Returnal? I don't know. I know it was in production for a very long time. All I can tell you is, again, if Sean Layden was saying PS4 games were costing between 120 and 150, and PS5 games are going to be around 200 plus, my guess is Returnal, because it probably is not. It was more like a AA budgeted game. I don't know. My guess is like $70-80 million. I could be totally off base there, but that's not a lot of money to spend anymore. Okay. But what I'm looking for is, you guys said Hades had. I'm going to look at the chat real quick. Hello, Eric. I'm looking for, somebody said there was the Hades budget. Is there a budget? How many copies did it sell? Again, 1 million copies, but that's from 2020. They haven't released new news since then. Saad Khan says, why was Sony touting Returnal as a mega hit? Well, I think they were maybe talking about it. Again, somebody, this is one of those things. This is semantics, right? Is it a hit for Sony from a certain definition? Was it a success? Sure. It's a prestige game. It probably will get a number of Game of the Year awards. They probably look at it and go, eventually it will become profitable, eventually. And in that fits under the umbrella of successful. Was it successful in the same way that The Last of Us Part 2 was? No. And so you can say these things just like Jim Ryan, marketing speak, exactly. Superior soundtracks. It's just like Jim Ryan can say, we believe in generations, and you won't be able to play the kind of games on PS4 that you can play on PS5. That's not a lie, but it's absolutely spin. Salty says, why would they buy a developer that failed? I don't think they failed. I don't think they look at it like they failed. They made Blade Runner. They made one of the best games of the generation, first time up to bat that they made a game this way. It's always been arcadey shit before that. This is a brilliant fucking game. I think probably what they look at is they go, you know what? They want to make hits. I have to assume it was a consistent debate amongst that team and the team at Sony, their producers, about how hard to make this, about how punishing to make this. And my guess would be that there was a point where they brought up Demon Souls and all that, and they're like, look, this is what the gamers want. And those triggers were pulled, and that was put out. That and maybe the price were two of the biggest failings of that game. I think they look at it and go, if we only would have done this and that and the other, and hopefully they will. That's what they need to do on this game, make those changes. I think it could be a hit, but I think they look at them and go, they'll get it next time because we will have learned. So no, you don't understand, Brian East. Brian East says, keep in mind, Jaffe, this was the first AAA from Housemarque. By definition, I think they believed Housemarque did well. Housemarque did phenomenally well. I'd never have played a game as assured as Returnal. That was a developer's first game. I know it wasn't their first game at all. They've been in business for a very long time. But in terms of that kind of game and that scope and that camera, that it wasn't like an arcade machine game, it was like you would have thought they were Insomniac. It was so assured and it was so well made and it was so clever that no, I'm not taking the piss at all out of that studio. I thought it was a great buy. All right, let's move on though. We're not all going to agree. That's my take. We'll see. I don't have to be right, but I probably am. Okay, that should go on my gravestone. Not that I'll have a gravestone, but okay, let's move on. Let me get some energy. Jaffe, it is important to win a generation. No, it's not. Bacon Magma. No, it's not. Hardcore gamers really think they have more influence than you guys do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I get it. But the idea that you think these consoles are selling because a bunch of people on the internet are like, they won, and I'm a Sony fanboy, and I'm an Xbox fan, but that's a minor part of it. And it's weird that a lot of you guys don't seem to ever recognize that. I hate to be a dick, but that's the fucking truth, man. All right, but it is what it is. We don't have to agree. I mean, I'm right, but we don't have to agree. Okay. First to 10 million wins the generation, says Peter Moore. Peter Moore, what's he doing now? Isn't he running like a soccer team? All right, let's move on. So, I want to talk about Annapurna's interactive showcase today, only because here's what I find interesting about it. So, you know, someone like Bacon Magma is obviously not going to enjoy Annapurna games for the most part, and that's a shame. You know, as much as I tease Bacon Magma, fact of the matter is there's a lot of shit he's missing out on. And people like him are missing out, and he's not alone. There's a lot of people like him. Annapurna makes some of the most interesting video games in the industry. They are just an incredible group of people in terms of developers and publishers and whatnot. And so today they came out, they did their show. Their show was interesting, and what I liked about it was, if you haven't seen it, it was to the point. It was very quick. It was like 25, 30 minutes tops. It got right to the essence of what it was. They had a couple of segments where it was like the developers trying to be wacky and witty, and I'm like, you don't need this. Don't do that. Don't do that. I want to see the games. Nobody cares about, look at the banter between, just don't do that. Right? It's stupid, in my opinion. You may disagree. I think it's stupid. But that said, though, it was a good show. They had a lot of good stuff they showed. I want to talk about two things I liked real quickly, and then I want to tell you kind of what the challenge that Annapurna has, and all these games have, that are not games that look like movies, right? So, Ivy Road, by the way, somebody in the chat is asking, it's Gnawdog, where's the console Stanley Parable port? So Ivy Road is actually by Davey Redden and Carla Zamanja, which is one of those little bits they had where it was just, let's be funny on camera. And it's like, please don't. Not that they weren't appealing people, but it's just like, why am I watching this? But they made, Carla worked on Gone Home, one of my favorite games, and Redden made Stanley Parable. And they've joined up and they're making a game together. They haven't announced what it was. Okay. But Artful Escape looks pretty good. I thought Neon White, which I will play while we're talking. I don't know really what it is yet, but it looks like it's from the guy who made Donut County. It looks like it could be a lot of fucking fun. It's like a shooter, runner, card kind of game, and there's just, it looks interesting. But the problem is, and the other game that looked really interesting similarly, is this game called Storyteller, which is really weird in that it's like a puzzle game where it's like, if you look at your screen right here, it says like your job is to tell the story of a tragedy. And then you have all these little things at the bottom, characters and ideas, and they get more and more complicated. And you can tell the story any way you want by dragging these objects into the comic book frames. The only goal is, at the end, it has to be a tragedy. So in this case, the guy falls in love with this woman and she dies. And so it is a tragedy, right? And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And as you watch this, it gets more and more complicated. The Queen Mary, suddenly you've got like 6 panels. You've got a lot more stuff down here that you can choose from. And so Annapurna makes really cool games, really interesting games. The problem with them is, and not Annapurna, but the problem with game marketing, and I don't have a solve for this, is that, you know, this is Stray, right? So this is Stray. So basically everybody was raving about Stray, blah, blah, blah. And again, I like it. I'm looking forward to it. Stray, if you're not watching your screen, is a game where you play a cat in the future, in some kind of robot world, and it's cool. And so what's interesting to me, though, is that everyone's like, Stray looks amazing. It is the most amazing thing. And people are like, it's so original. It's so fresh. And I'm like, no, I'm excited for it. I want to play it. But it's a kind of a platform game, right? I mean, there's certain mechanics that look a little interesting. And again, I'm not taking the piss out of Stray. I'm bringing this up because Stray kind of reminds me and is a good indication of why marketing video games is tricky. It's kind of like the one that I remember the most is that Dead Island game where they played the whole trailer backwards and everybody was losing their shit over the trailer. And I was just like, is the game played backwards? I don't know. It's a great trailer. I can't wait. I'm like, what is it you're excited about? Right? So if you look at this and after the thematic goes away and you're just like, okay, it's a cat. What do I do? Everything that they have been showing in this game looks good, looks fun, but I don't look at it and go, I've never played anything like this. I bring it up because there was another game recently. Shut up, DX Pones. I'm not hating on Stray. I'm literally telling you that I'm excited for this. I want to buy it. I want to play it. I'm bringing it up because, you know what? Maybe you're not smart enough to be in the conversation, sir. You know where the exit button is, okay? The point is that what I'm saying to you is that this is an easier game to market. God of War is an easier game to market because it looks like the conceptual aspect is what you're marketing, but you're not marketing the gameplay, right? It reminds me of this game. And by the way, this isn't a PlayStation game. This is going to be on everything. But it reminds me of Bug Snacks. You guys remember when everybody was excited about Bug Snacks? People all can't wait for Bug Snacks. That's the one I want. So excited about Bug Snacks. Really? Nobody's playing Bug Snacks. Nobody's talking about Bug Snacks. But Bug Snacks had great marketing. It had a catchy song. It looked fun. It looked cool. But ultimately, nobody showed up for it. There's another Sony game, by the way, that, was weird and different and out of the norm, and nobody cared about it. Who was excited about Bug Snacks? No, you're absolutely, absolutely wrong. If you go back and look at the commentary from all of the blogs and all of the game news and all that and the message boards, people were absolutely... I'm not hating on Bug Snacks, Saltius. I'm not saying it's not a good game. I'm saying that it did not perform at the level one would have assumed based on how much it was being discussed. Bug Snacks says God of War was super successful. Really? How give me your proof that Bug Snacks was super successful. I'm not, you guys are trolling me now. You know good and well I'm not hating on this game. We're talking about something different. Is Stray, are you right? Me and Avengers, Stray is a console exclusive? Well, there you go. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought it was going to be on everything. But okay, fine. But I'm good. I'm excited about it. I want to play it. I did play Bug Snacks on drugs. Didn't help. Okay, well, here's what's interesting. Some people in the chat are saying that that Bug Snacks is a meme. People were making fun of it. And then I got people in the chat saying, no, Bug Snacks was great. It was super successful. So you guys get your story straight, then hit me back. Implication of criticism through based on your marketing comment. Echo the Dolphin didn't look cool to me in 93, but it's celebrated now. The game looks like it was well engineered. I don't know if I understand your comment. I'm sorry. Can you try again? It's probably my fault. It seems like a well-written comment, but I don't understand it. Implication of criticism, though, based on your mark. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. It's probably my fault. Okay, it'll be on PC. Stray will. Okay, gotcha. Ricardo Torres says, so Sony diversifies and nobody's there for it. That means it's not the way to go. I think it probably just means they're not good at it yet. They're not as good at it. I mean, imagine Sony, if they could get the service games and they could get more of the mainstream games and they had the resources to do it. They could become the kind of company that makes those games as good as they make the AAA action adventure games. they would be absolutely unstoppable, right? They have the creative management to do it. I'm not counting Sony out. I'm saying that right now, they're not doing a very good job at it. To look at sales. Okay. There you go. Listen to me. Let's talk about Bill Cosby. Let's move on, shall we? We're going to talk about Activision a little bit. We're not going to spend too much time on Activision. But I want to mention a couple of things that have happened. This picture fascinated me. You guys already know all about this. This is the Cosby Suite, which it was 2013 when this picture was taken. This is where a bunch of the World of Warcraft team from Blizzard went, and who knows what happened there, but they had parties there and alcohol there and, whatever. So you gotta be careful with this picture. It's not like, this picture isn't like the rape room. A lot of people are thinking about this like it's the rape room. I don't know what happened there, but I know that there was a lot of bad shit going on at Blizzard and Activision, and calling something the Cosby room and saying, let's get some girls up here and let's do this and that and the other. It definitely implies that maybe, at least that's where their heads were. Well, I found this today. I don't remember who put this out, but this is a Where Are They Now picture of all of these people in this picture, right? So there's like VP at Riot Games, game director at Blizzard, creative director at Deviation Games, design and world building at Bonfire, lead designer at Blizzard, design sub-lead at Blizzard, principal level designer, and then Alex Affer, whatever, who was fired for misconduct a while ago, right? So it's really disturbing. It's really disturbing that all of these guys, if this is to be believed, and if the lawsuit complaint is to be believed, that they have been able to move on to, such heightened roles, right? But that's not even my main point, right? If you also look over, Ubisoft today also signed a letter backing Activision and also saying, hey, all these people like Yves Guillemot, who runs Ubisoft, saying, oh, we're changing. We've made so many changes, blah, 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 blah. Well, there have been a number of reports in the last couple of months saying they haven't done nearly enough. Well, today, I want to say it was over 500 people signed a letter demanding that they get rid of offenders at Ubisoft and they have new reporting processes, meaning basically that no, Guillemot, you guys haven't done shit, right? So you have over 3,000 people signing the Activision complaint who work at Blizzard Activision. You've got the Ubisoft stuff. Now, here's what's interesting to me about this. There's two things about this that interest me. The first one is, I always say unions in video games are really challenging because the people who want to form unions in games struggle with leverage. Like, what are they going to say to the companies? What are you going to say to Sony, to Activision, to Ubisoft, to Nintendo about that's going to get them to go, oh shit, if we don't do what you say, we're going to suffer, right? These people weren't striking. They signed a letter. Big deal. They walked out for a day in protest. Big deal, right? Ultimately, one would think that if this kind of moment doesn't get a lot of people to unionize, I don't know what it's going to take, right? But the problem with it is, they don't have any leverage because my guess would be, even if they walked out, they could still lure back in a bunch of the key people. And the other people, we had a guy call into the stream the other day who's like dying to go into AAA. There's so many people who are just willing to rush in to take the places of the people who walk out that I don't know really what kind of punishment Ubisoft was literally called to the mat over a year ago about their awful alleged sexual harassment, sexual assault, toxic work environment. People are saying it's not any better. You think this is going to get any better? I don't see it. Right. Mr. Rob says people protest in huge numbers all the time. It does almost nothing. That's right. Saltiest, Cosby's out of jail, but he's not out of jail because he was found innocent. He's out of jail because there was a technicality that the prosecuting attorney, I believe it was, fucked up, and thus it was either a mistrial or whatever, but he was inappropriately confined to jail, and so that decision was done, and you can't try him again, and so he got lucky, but that was it. So I don't know what's going to change, right? I don't know if anything's actually going to change. I don't know what that means, Destroyer. Destroyer says, "You talk a lot of shit, sir. What shit am I talking?" I'll wait because I need to slow down for a minute before we move on. I'll wait. What shit do I talk? I'm waiting, Destroyer. Come on now. I'll give you like 30 seconds, and I'm going to get back to the topic. He did not serve his sentence. His sentence, I think, was much longer. That's what I want to talk about next, Charlie X. Why are some game companies struggling to deal with stuff like this? I want to get to that in a second. Joshua says, yeah, and that'll never happen either. It will take us stop buying these games and renewing game subscriptions. That's right. That's absolutely right. I'm waiting for the Destroyer to write something. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. The Cosby sheet sounds fake. What? You've never had a pudding pop? They're pretty good. All right, Destroyer's not writing shit. He says, Jaffe, you talk a lot of shit. I say, all right, let's talk about that, buddy. What shit do I talk? Where'd he go? Where'd he go, fellas? He vanished into the night like a coward. Yeah, just even Bacon I agree with. Bacon says, the Destroyer, please tell him the shit he's talking. I'm waiting. I'm taking a break with my Slurpee. Come on, baby. Now that I do this podcast, I can edit all this shit out. I mean, it's not shit, but it doesn't play well on a podcast, but it's fine for here. I'll give you 20 more seconds. I'm going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19 and a half, 20. You missed your shot, baby. What if the Destroyer is Bobby Kotick? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But why is this happening? It's a good question. I was thinking about this, right? So I want to show you. So this picture really got me thinking. It really got me thinking because, you know, there are some things that happen when I was in the industry and when I was starting out. And I've told these stories before. I'm not going to get into a big story, but I'll tell you again. My boss, when he turned 40, we were up at Foster City at Sony. And I was like 24. And we got strippers to come in to the office, right? And it was allowed. No one, I mean, people may have cared. I imagine the women cared and other men were probably offended. But we never got in trouble. We never got called out. It was funny. We were fucking around. It was like a frat house. We never treated anybody poorly. Like nobody, as far as I know, was assaulted or anything. But that's insane that we got away with that. Sony officially, a bunch of us went to a party at the Playboy Mansion that I think it was Game Trailers put on and sponsored. Well, I don't think today a company would do that, have a party at the Playboy Mansion. If you're Jeff Keighley's show, if you're the Game Awards, it's like, hey, the after party's at the Playboy Mansion. There's no goddamn way that would happen. It's not. Why shouldn't it be allowed, DDP? Come on, are you a moron? Why shouldn't it be allowed? Because you're basically bringing something into the work environment that really is culturally, societally speaking, meant to be either meant to be enjoyed or consumed either in private or in a very specific situation like a strip club. The fact that you're bringing that into work and everyone has not consented to that kind of experience. I mean, imagine women who are uncomfortable with that. Imagine men who are uncomfortable with that. That's why it's not okay. It's not that sex is offensive, Magic Circle. I don't agree with that. He says, dude, I never understand why sex is so offensive, but the war taking place every day is not. Of course it is. Of course the war is offensive. It's not that sex is offensive. Of course not. But it doesn't mean that it's appropriate to have two people come into the boardroom and fuck on the table while you guys are trying to debate whether or not you should greenlight a new Twisted Metal, right? They're two different things. Here's the point, though. Somewhere along the lines of those days, 95, 6, 7, and today, Sony never, I'm not saying Sony doesn't have problems, but Sony, everybody grew up. Our bosses got older, we got older. It may be because Sony was a company that was already so entrenched with, Sony Pictures and television and music and all their legal shit that there was just this ironclad HR. I don't know what it was, but that culture, it did not follow us to Santa Monica. We did not open Santa Monica and suddenly that shit was going on at Santa Monica. And I've been thinking a lot about this because I look at these guys in the picture and I say, they don't look that different than when we were up in Foster City in our mid and early 20s, just being a bunch of dumb, stupid guys. And it's like, yeah, we can blame them because they should have known better. I don't know how old these people are, but that's kind of what they look like. And I don't know what they actually did either. But if we're going off, allegedly, these guys they're the faces of this now, whether they all deserve that or not. But even if some of them did this stuff, I look at it and I just kind of say, what's different? Why in 2013 are these guys not able to recognize that the behavior at Blizzard that is alleged that over 3,000 people have come out and pretty much said this is bullshit, this is a problem. Why are these people at Ubisoft, over how many people they say, 500 sign the letter? I don't know. I'm answering the guy's question. Why is it that, what is it they don't know? What is it they don't get? Right? Somebody says, Rambo says, yeah, but you're wrong. Rambo says this photo was 2013. Why are we judging a photo from 10 years ago? Cosby rape allegations weren't around. No, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. Here, look. 2013, he wasn't found guilty. Cosby allegations when? I think they started in 2011. A timeline. Here you go, real quick. You're going back 2002, 2004, 2005. A bunch of these are, come on, he's been accused for a very long time. I'm not saying, Saltiest, that's not even my point. I'm not saying anybody should be canceled. I don't even know what that means, really. I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more why this is prevalent. I am curious about that. I'm curious why this is, I don't think it's just prevalent in games, but certainly in games. Why is this happening? Right? Why is this something that they think is acceptable? That I don't know this answer. Yeah, I didn't know about the Cosby stuff either, but if you look at the allegations, it's just like Harvey Weinstein. Everybody knew about it. People knew about it. People talked about it. It was in the news to some extent, but it wasn't as well known. And again, look, forget Cosby for a minute. That's not even what I'm really talking about. If you read the allegations, no one is saying there's a smoking gun that is Bill Cosby. And if it turns out these guys can prove that they're naming this thing the Cosby Suite was a play on his sweater, which is what they're saying. They're saying the carpet in this room looks like his sweater, so it's fine. But that's not what the lawsuit's about. The lawsuit is about payment and equality and harassment and assault. That is the issue. That was the culture. This is a picture that may or may not reflect that culture literally, but it is a poster child for the culture that everybody is beginning to understand was rampant at that company. Is all I'm saying. And I don't know. I guess you guys don't have a an answer either. I'm not asking like you guys know. I mean, maybe you do, but I just don't get it. I think they were being edgy, says Snake. I get that. I get why a 25-year-old kid would go, fuck yeah, man, we're going to the Playboy Mansion for Sony. I get why a 25, 26-year-old kid would go out drinking in Vegas and go up to a suite that Ubisoft owns, and it's like, let's fucking, bring some girls up here and fuck them in the bathroom, whatever. I get it. What I don't get is how that is allowed at a professional company. I don't get how there isn't leadership that says, wait a minute, you're here on company business, company dime. You have a private life, do what you want, but you don't do it here in the suite that Blizzard's paying for. I don't understand that, is all I'm saying. I don't understand how that gets there. Signal says, I'll be honest, a lot of it feels like nerds who got too much power and had no clue how to act around women. I kind of think that's true. Snake says, I await evidence. Of course, Snake. No one is... Phantom, 25 is a kid. It's an absolute kid. It's not a kid like a child, but in terms of you're a young adult, you're out of college, you are experiencing freedom and money and a little influence for the first time. And in that, you are a babe in the woods, okay? Danny says, I don't care. I just play games. Well, I know, but nobody cares if you care, Danny. But no offense, but you should care. You should care because this is the world in which we all share, man. Okay. Just moving forward with this. Hang on. Jaffe says, Peapod, are you saying you never used your business expenses for non-business expenses? I don't know, sometimes, but not, I've never used them on anything that would be offensive to people. The leadership is part of the culture, says Martin. Young guys in the photo are leadership. I think it has to do, says Julio, with the people in power. They're fucked up and lackeys follow along to be part of the cool kids, especially young adults. I could see that. Brian East says the state of California not only put up the lawsuit, they did so without notifying Blizzard to offer a counter argument. I think they believe they have a solid case. Well, yeah, I mean, they spent 2 years investigating, and then they went ahead and filed the complaint. The idea that people are saying, well, we're going to wait for evidence. Yeah, of course. No one is saying they should go to jail tomorrow or they should lose the case tomorrow. But I think at the same time, it's a company that has a history. And it's a company now where you literally have 3,000 plus people that work at the company signing letters going, no, it's as bad as people are saying. Come on. To act like, oh, there's no reason that you should think the wind is blowing a certain way. I don't think that's true. No. They're innocent until proven guilty, Dara 7, in a court of law. But in the court of public opinion, you make your bed and you lie in it, okay? I don't think any of these guys should be punished or canceled or whatever that even means simply because they're allegations. I think if you want to hire one of these people, you pull people aside, you call references, just like anybody else. But to act like, oh, we should just stand back and have no opinion when there's all of this evidence and there's all of these people literally on the record signing and risking their jobs and saying, this is what's happening. I don't agree with you that you're not allowed to have an opinion. I'm doing good, Muhammad. How are you? I didn't say public opinion is always right, Bacon Magma. I'm saying, well, you know what I'm going to say it again. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, Brian says the execs tried to play it off by saying the state of California was exaggerating and misrepresenting the case. And all the employees are like, no, they're not. Come on. To act like there's no smoke and fire there, come on. Would I hire them, Death Squirrel? I would have an interview with them if I liked them. I would do a couple of things. I would check references. I would ask friends what they think. I would also speak to them about what I've heard about them, and I would want to hear their side. And like any hire I've ever done, you start on probation for like 4 months or whatever, and we'll see where things go. Hello, Jay the Destroyer. But I think everybody has to, I think people deserve a chance unless the guy went to jail for this. And even if he went to jail for it, which this is not a case like that, if they serve their time, Okay. Let us go. I want to talk about two games that are trying to claw their way back to existence, and they're fascinating to me. One is interesting. Well, they're both interesting, but the one that's on my mind right now, Destruction All-Stars arrives today, a July update. Now, I barely clicked on this. What does that even mean? I almost didn't click on this because I'm like, whatever. I'm over this game. I enjoyed it for about 3 days, and then it kind of got... all it got was sort of, it was like, it's good, it's really well made, but I was like, it's, there's not enough stickiness to it, right? And so I was kind of skimming this, but I was like, okay, this is interesting. I don't know if it's too little too late, and I don't know if it's going to make a difference. But they are addressing they're putting some skins and this, that, and the other. But these guys are putting some, I'm going to re-download it and I'm going to play it because these changes I do think are meaningful. I don't think it means the game is going to necessarily be any stickier or any better. There's no meta to it, and I don't mean meta like kids use it today. There's no like leveling up and upgrading. As far as I remember, there's none of there's none of that shit. There's none of that shit. Ali asked me that in a second. I'll get back to that. But so that may ultimately be why it's not long for the world. But that said, though, here's some good changes they are making. Ghost hits has been one of the problems, which I'm stunned. This was not brought up at the very beginning of development. We were working on a game when Bartlett Jones shut down that had to do with, without giving away too much because I'm not allowed to, with constantly applying forces to an object. So imagine like water or air. It was about multiple people trying to manipulate the object by constantly applying, let's just say wind, by blowing and sucking and moving this thing around, okay? Well, it's much easier online to track a missile, right? It's easier to go, I fire it on my machine. All the game has to know is you fired it from this point, and the actual logic of that missile is happening locally on the other guy's machine. So it checks once to go, oh, Jaffe fired the missile at this point. Once the missile's out, we can do all the calculations on the other guy's computer. But when you're talking about ramming, or you're talking about constantly checking for a force, those things become a lot harder to accurately convey over network games, okay? And in a lot of ways, like we had a programmer telling us, is like, I don't think we can make this game. Like, but when the game was shut down, he was saying to us, we can try to find some solves for this, but I'm telling you, your fundamental mechanic functionally doesn't really work that well over the internet. And he was right. I'm surprised this game got as far as it did without somebody going, your whole game is based on ramming. You don't have weapons. You don't have projectiles. You don't have, it's simply collision, simply touching the other car. Well, they made the game, and one of their biggest problems has been ghost hits, which, if you don't know what that means, is you're driving around and suddenly your health bar goes from 100 to 70. And you're like, what the fuck happened? Well, what the fuck happened was somebody hit you on their screen, but you didn't see it reflected on your screen. And in a game that's all about ramming, you can't do that, right? I mean, and so that drove a lot of people away. So they've noodled with it. It's clear it's not perfect, but they're saying it's a lot better, okay? Phenomenal. Great. I'm excited for that alone. Shay is saying, let's do a game night, All-Stars. Absolutely, I want to. Here's another one that I think is a great, you got to be careful with designers, man. You got to be careful with designers. And I'm a designer, I was. I get it. So what they were doing is, if you wanted to ram and actually have it mean something in this game, you had to sort of cool down your ram attack and wait before you could hit it. I know you could hit somebody and do some damage, but it was on a timer that you could really go in there and really make an impact. And I could see the designer going, well, let's make it really not stingy with it, but let's make it meaningful. So there's a real risk reward aspect to it, and you have to get really good at it. And I get it from a design standpoint, but what it did was it really decimated the shallow end of this game, which is when you're driving around, what you want to do in this game is ram the fuck out of people. And you want to hit people. That's what it is. It's a Demolition Derby game. And they're like, well, we're going to put that behind a timer. So if you do it and you miss, which you will do, because it's hard to ram another object. That's why missiles work great in online games, because you can add a little kind of cheating to it, a little bit of a magnetism, right? Well, it's hard to line up when you're going this fast and actually get a ram and someone's trying to avoid you. So you're going to miss a lot at first. And you're going to miss a lot because the ghost hits, right? Well, on this new upgrade, they've said we're going to take that timer, and it's still there, but we're going to make the cooldown a lot less punishing. And they're saying now with that, you're getting a lot more chaos, a lot more rams. That's a great change. Another thing that for whatever reason didn't launch today, will launch in a couple of weeks, is they've got 2 levels where they've taken the arenas and they've made them smaller. And in that, they've increased the frequency of engagement and collisions and smashing each other, right? So in a lot of ways, I could see it. I've been on teams like this. I've been on games like this where it really feels like you know, I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm pretty sure it seems like this would have happened on a game like this. You've got the surface of the game that some of the people are going, dude, just open up the fucking valve. Let people have fucking fun. They want to smash, they want to ram, they want to destroy things. That's the fantasy that you're selling them. And then you've got the design mentality that says, no, I know that's fun, but that's dessert. They have to have the meal first. They have to get their nutrition first, right? And I get that as well, because ultimately, if you just build the shallow end of the pool, the game isn't sticky anyway, right? And especially a game's not sticky when you don't have the meta I was talking about, and you have a shallow moment-to-moment game. I think ultimately what happened is, though, whoever won that argument was clearly the design mentality, and I think it was proven wrong. And I think all of these 3 major changes for this update are saying we're going to retune this and we're going to tune it for more of a mainstream experience, which I think is very exciting. I think it is very exciting to see, because I mean, again, I don't want to oversell it, but when you read this on the PlayStation blog, this really is it's almost like playing a different game. I mean, they're really changing the cadence and the pacing and the rhythm of this thing. And I want to give it a shot. I'm excited about it. If it's good, we will do it for a game night. So is it a little too late? Maybe, possibly, probably. But we'll give it a shot. Magnum, thank you for the super chat. He says, how does it work in an online fighting game? Hang on a second. You're talking about the collision and stuff? Well, I've never made an online fighting game. What I can tell you is I did speak with the online network programmer. I tried to hire him, but he was starting his own company for Drawn to Death, who did the melee combat on God of War Ascension, the multiplayer. And it is a very big can of worms. It is a very big problem that, you know, you have to specialize in it. It's not that it's not solvable, but this is not a company that's done this historically. I mean, what have these guys done? They've done Lucid Games. I know they're a good developer, but what is their pedigree? Have they ever done an online competitive, you know, I don't even know. The last thing they did was Geometry Wars, which was not even multiplayer, which is not knocking them. I'm just saying that, you know, this is a pretty big, okay, Switchblade, I don't know what that is. We'll look at that in a second. So it looks like they've done a bunch of helping, like, you know, what's the goddamn word? They've done a lot of support services, right? They didn't make Apex Legends, but they worked with these guys to give them things like that. What is Switchblade? When did that come out? Because that seems very, it's the new sport in Switchblade, an arena 5v5 action game. This looks more traditionally card combat. Is this already out? I want to play this. Ooh, that looks cool. Well, is it out? Have you guys played this? Where the fuck do I get this? Switchblade game. This has to have already come out, right? It was a PS4 game. I guess it didn't do very well. Let's see what reception was. Does it have like a Metacritic? Mostly positive. Amiga. What? Amiga. Oh, that's the magazine. So it was kind of middling. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of experience they have. I guess they had a little bit. No, this is the wrong one. This is a fucking 1999 game. God damn it, Javi. Switchblade car game review. Come on now. It's a MOBA. Okay. Metacritic. Let's go to Metacritic. It's only got one review. Who the fuck knows? It's sitting at an 80. While the lack of basic features is a bit grating and server mishaps can take away from the experience, it's an extremely competent vehicle MOBA. So yeah, I mean, I don't think they've, fuck you, boomer moment. Fuck you, bitch. You wouldn't even know what the fuck I'm talking about if I didn't bring your attention to it, you fuck stick. Anyway, point is though, yeah. So some of the devs worked on Destruction Derby and Wipeout. Yeah, Destruction Derby though was never online though. Anyway, whatever. I'm excited to see how they do. The other game that I don't think if I was a betting fella, I would give All Stars a 25% chance of coming back from the dead. Maybe that's even being generous. This game though, I just think this is done. I think, I've been on a game, Drawn to Death, which was absolutely a, I knew and Nick knew within the first 5 days it was a failure. And I was fascinated that when I called the Sony folks and I was like expressing my concern, either they were lying, trying to make us feel better, or they didn't see it. But I was like, guys, this isn't working. And they're like, these are good numbers. I'm like, no, they're really not. But anyway, point being, I've been on a team where it's dead and you're still developing for it. And it's very depressing. It's very hard to motivate yourself. So Avengers comes out. So here's the Avengers roadmap, right? And I bring this up just because my theory is this thing's done. I don't think they've announced any expansions beyond War for Wakanda, which is coming out, I think, any day now. In fact, did it come out today? But basically, you're seeing these jumps. 1,800 went up to 2,000, and then it dropped. And then 2,500 went up to 2,700, and then it dropped. And now it's at 3,000, right? But ultimately, nothing's going to save this fucking game. I don't think new content will save Avengers. No, I think fundamentally, and I like it. It's really well made. I like the art. Playing the Hulk is a lot of fun. You guys know I love the theme. But I don't know, man. I think it's a dead game walking. And I think this is the absolute last thing that we're going to see from it. Someone's asking, why would you make a game, keep working on it if you know it's dead, says Mr. Rob. Well, again, I mean, there is a commitment, financially. They've got an amount of runway that they have budgeted for. I imagine they've committed contractually to Marvel. Square Enix has said, look, we're going to give this X number of months. I mean, to all of these games' credit, it's nice to see people trying shit. It's nice to see the all-star guys hanging in there and saying, we're gonna make some big changes, and let's see what happens. But in this game, though, I mean, it doesn't sound like they ever really addressed the real issue, which is it was just boring. The fighting was really cool, but after an hour or two, it was just very repetitive. And the meta loop that was going to get you grinding and shit was not addictive enough for most people. I mean, those numbers, man, these numbers, what are we, less than a year since this thing launched? It never, I mean, and this is just Steam to be fair, but I mean, goodness gracious. They could go free to play. It doesn't matter though. These days, there's so much competition in free to play that they could go free to play and they'll get a big bump. Just like they got a big bump when Hawkeye came out. They got a big bump when the Red Room came out. They'll get a big bump when Wakanda comes out. which is soon. And this one is at least there's a new story point to it. So this is probably the beefiest one they're doing. And they'll get a big bump, and then it'll go right back to where it was. Look what happens when you don't support a game after release. Look at Anthem, says Anthony. Well, yeah, but they did support it. I mean, this is supporting it. It was just not what people wanted. All right, I want to talk about Neil Druckmann for a minute. I have a theory, and I have some information, and all this kind of comes together with this news story. Bacon Magma, you're right. I was wrong. Look, here's what I said about Avengers last year. I said it was going to be the best-selling game of the year, and I believed that because I didn't say it was the best game of the year. It wasn't in my top 10. I gave it like an 8 for me because I'm a Marvel fanboy, but for everybody else, it was like a 6, and I believe that. And I said it was like a Lego game. If you love the brand, it's a blast, but not for that long. If you don't like the brand, it's a slog, okay? And I thought because of the license, because of that opening on the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, people were going to play it, kids were going to play it and go, oh my God, this is the superhero fantasy that every kid has had. Be you a kid or an adult. I did. I absolutely thought that it was going to be a huge seller. But I was totally wrong on that. Absolutely. Okay, so this news comes out and it kind of dovetails into something else I'll tell you guys about. But it's I'm not going to tell you who said it, but it's certainly I can't tell you who said it. But I will tell you that if I told you who it was, you'd go, oh my God. And I'd say, yeah. So this person's in the know. But the news first, though, is The Last of Us HBO series planned for 8 seasons, budgets upward of $200 million per year, right? So what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8. I mean, over $1 billion over the course of the whole. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, over $1 billion. So hugely expensive. The pilot, as I've said before, is the most expensive pilot HBO has ever shot. This is the big time, kids. So I'm talking to this source that you would know, and we were just talking about Sony and video games and all this stuff, and I said, one of the things that came up was this concern, philosophy, this idea of what would happen if Sony, because the budgets are going so big, Sony really isn't able to take the kind of creative chances that allow the people who are creatively satisfied at Sony to continue to enjoy working there. And I will tell you that this person, I'm not going to name the name of the game, but there was a hit game that came out recently, and this person said that game would not be greenlit at today's Sony. Right? And you would be stunned to hear the name of that game. And I think this person is correct. The thing the other guy said was that I was talking about this. And I said, if I'm Neil Druckmann and what you're saying is right, and of course he's right, and what you're saying is right, or if I'm Cory Barlog or whatever, and I can't get that game that you just mentioned greenlit, and I'm only able to get the shit greenlit that is just the most pedestrian shit, and I'm Neil Druckmann and I'm working on, because I said it, Neil would have to be really involved in the show, and I don't know how involved he is, and this guy would know, and he says, oh, Neil is very involved in the show. He's got his hands, it's not like he's just like a backseat producer and he's working at Naughty Dog 24/7 and every now and then they send him a script. Apparently he's deep in the weeds with this. Fucking Neil Druckmann on this goddamn thing? Shit. You get this kind of creative freedom, this kind of money, this kind of budget, and then you go back to Sony and pitch something and they say, no, it's no, we can't do it. I wouldn't stick around. That's my theory. So my prediction is within 18 months, Neil Druckmann will have left Naughty Dog, will have left Sony. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. Somebody put it on a board. Put it on a board. I'm not going to tell you what game it was, Cosmic, but it wasn't that one. All right. Neil's a co-writer. I think he's also one of the producers, or he's not officially he's not officially a showrunner, but all you people who think all I do is love on Xbox, you're wrong. I love on things I'm enjoying. Okay. Right now, I'm enjoying Xbox, but I just told you I thought Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart's a classic. A classic. Returnal's a game of the year. You don't want to hear that, though. You're either, with you guys, you're like hardcore Democrats or hardcore Republicans. You're either all in with you guys or there is no shades of gray. I can't be nuanced about what I think about video games. I have to either love Sony and hate Xbox or the opposite. Okay? Well, I'm not like that. Sorry, it didn't work that way. So here's something interesting. Now, I don't have a problem with this because I don't care about this game. But to all you people looking for some red meat to throw at Sony and say, haha, fuck you, Xbox, this did come out today. This was interesting. That, you know, one of the things that a lot of people are saying with Xbox is they don't get rid of their games that they own. And that is true so far. But to be fair, today they came out and said we are going to have to get rid of Forza Motorsport 7. And it's going away. But it's not going away, though, for the reason, like, they want to take it away to get you to buy it. It's going away because, frankly, the licenses are up. And in that, they don't have the rights to all these cars anymore, at least in this game. And whether or not they want to renegotiate or they only have the rights to put it in Forza Motorsport 8, I don't know. All I'm telling you is that for all you guys looking for a reason to hate more on Xbox Game Pass, here's one. Which is, hey, you're losing a game from Game Pass, and they said they wouldn't. And I believe it or not, I'm bringing this up because I've seen a number of people online today using this like a, haha, Xbox sucks, I told you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that, whatever. I will say one more thing about Xbox. And this is something, yeah, Peapod, it wouldn't be a problem with physical copies. No. But you know what?
Truly for enhanced.
You know what? It would not be a problem with physical. You're right. But no one cares. It's 2021, baby. Move on. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Listen to me. Although it is interesting though, Jonathan says all car games have licensing problems eventually. What they should do moving forward, and I don't know how easy this is. I know when we made Twisted Metal, we definitely use cars that were on the market, but we would mix and match them. So legal would ask us like, well, what is Spectre? And we're like, okay, well, Spectre has the front of a Corvette from 1963, I think, but it's got the back of a whatever, right? And that's how we kind of dealt with not having licensed cars, but they felt like cars you've seen before, okay? I'd be stunned if they didn't start going, you know what, we're going to license, the Ferrari Testarossa, but we're going to make enough legal changes to it so that when the license expires, all we have to do is swap out these models and we're able to keep the game going. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you something, though. Here's something that Xbox has that Sony doesn't have. And if you're a Sony fanboy only, it sucks to be you. Boom. Krispy Kreme is coming out with Xbox donuts. Let me tell you what's in this goddamn thing. It is a donut with brownie mix. Not brownie made. Mix. Liquid. Brownie fucking mix in the center with white powdered sugar and lime frosting in a glazed donut underneath. Think about that. Think about that. You can go into Krispy Kreme, get yourself Xbox donuts. They're called something. I don't know what they are. You can win Xboxes. You can win Game Pass. Blah, 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 blah. It's not coconut. No, it's all sugar, baby. I will say, though, that, look, you know what? Here's what I'll say. I'm a Game Pass fanboy. I am. Right now, I'm loving my game. I'm loving my Xbox Series X. Yeah, fine, DDP. Fuck you, man. I don't even care. I love video games. If I can't get your tip of the hat because I love games at the moment that aren't on the system you love, then fuck off. I can't. It doesn't taste like lime. It's just green. It's the lime coloring. I can't deal with you people anymore. I just can't. Go away. You can also win diabetes. That's right. Yes, Rob, I will absolutely. I can't deal with you people anymore. I'm making a video right now that is so I don't know what the title is, but the gist of it is like, 10 things that only gamers over 30 can understand. And one of them is, when I was a kid, we used to, my best friend's name was Carrie, still one of my best friends. And he had an Intellivision, and I had an Atari, and we didn't fight. We didn't care. You know what was fun? Going over to Carrie's house was fun because I could play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, because I could play Mattel football. He came over to my house where he could play Indy 500 and Warlords, right? What's wrong with some of you people? The fuck is wrong with some of you people? It's like, my God, man. I can't handle it anymore. I know people think I'm taking the bait, but it's really gross, man. It's gross. Fellas, I'll go to the chat. I'll give you the last word. What do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, David Douglas says he's 53, never understood console tribalism. Me neither. Wicked says, I miss gaming days like that as kids. It was great. That's right. It was a marketing thing. That's right. But Jesus Christ, you're not children anymore. You're able to recognize the difference between marketing and being manipulated in real life. My best friend says Novodamus had a Genesis, I had a SNES. It was awesome. You fanboys are losers. I think that's true. I think us Gen Xers need to go out there and just start, and a little bit younger, and start just making it clear that all these fanboys are fucking losers. Right? You really are. Not the ones that are trolling. Not the ones that are having fun. It's fun to pick on, Alabama fans because I'm an Auburn fan. I get that. I'm not talking about fun trash talk. That's different. This goes beyond that, though. And I know that sounds crazy, but it really isn't, because I've encountered some of these people that genuinely care about this shit. And I'm staggered by how childish some of y'all are. You talk about the Annapurna show. I did. I liked it. Trey says, don't waste your time, energy, emotions on unreachable morons. Trey, I'm with you. I don't think I'm going to change them. But I am fascinated by them. Like, I don't understand how that kind of a brain, and I'm not taking the piss. I'm not being a dick. I'm just kind of like, more fascinated. I'm just like, it's almost like when you take a psychology class in college and they're like, hey, let us tell you, oh my God, I heard about this guy today who was so fucked up in his mind. He got hit in the head and he lost this part of his brain. He thought he was a chicken, or it's one of those things. Like, I'm fascinated by it because it's weird. It's all fun, Jaffe says, Sergeant. I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference between someone going, your fucking system sucks shit, motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you. You guys have that game. I want that game. Hey, you want to come over and play Second Extinction? Sure, you got it, bud. That's different. Or Auburn sucks, Alabama sucks, Notre Dame sucks, but you still all get together and watch the game and have a good time. That's different. There's people out there that take this shit serious. It's disturbing. Phil Spencer said AAA gaming was dead. When did he say that, DDP? I mean, maybe it is. He's probably right. At least at the amount. Wicked says it's kind of like religion. Maybe that's why I understand it, because I'm not religious. Some people fight and claw over their God. Controversial, but true. Could be. It is always important when talking with someone to go into thinking they might just know something you don't. These people do not do that. Yeah, no, I know. Beat says The Ascent came out today. I played it. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to stream tonight, but if I do, and there are any mods or members who want to jump on and play with me, I'll let you guys know on the Discord. But yeah, I played it for about an hour, and I did some multiplayer as well. And I don't know if I'm going to love it or not. I don't hate it, but I don't love it yet either. There's a lot to like about it, but I haven't really fallen in love with it yet, because I just only really started upgrading my character. And in that, I think that's going to be the thing that hooks or doesn't hook you. I think the moment-to-moment gameplay in that title is soft. The guns don't feel all that great. All right, Rob. And Rob, is it? I don't know if it's crossplay on PC and console. I imagine it would be, but I don't know. Do a game stream. Mutemo, I will stream tonight if I have the energy. What I'm trying to figure out is I want to go through this stream, which is about a couple hours stream at this point, and I want to figure out if it makes more sense to just automatically put this on the podcast as is, or if it gets a lot better edited. And if it gets a lot better edited, then what I'm going to do is probably just spend the night editing it, but I'm not sure yet. The Ascent, well, here's what's interesting. The Ascent looks heavily influenced, says Rosanna, from older Housemarque games. You're right, but those games play better, right? That's the reason, like the gunplay in like Dead Nation or Alien Nation, it feels better to just shoot. So far, at least the guns that I have don't feel bad, but they just don't feel great. Crossplay with Microsoft Store only, says Beats. Okay, so but if Rob has Game Pass on PC and I have it on Series X, is it crossplay? You bought Spawn for PS2? Excellent. I was in the meeting. When they first showed, it was such a different time, you guys. It was like all you needed to get the love and support of sales and marketing was just getting them laughing. We called them marketing moments. I always put them in games where I knew that it would get the crowd of the Sony execs on our side. Whether, it was some of the destruction in Twisted Metal or some of the crazy shit in God of War, it was always an intentional thing. And I was in the meeting where they showed Spawn for PlayStation. I thought it was PlayStation 1. And where Spawn could kill someone and rip someone's arm off and then pick the arm up and beat someone to death with the arm. And the whole room just exploded with laughter. They thought it was the funniest fucking thing, even to the point that if you remember the print ad from back in the day, it literally was simply a severed arm. When you opened it, you realized it was severed and you could use it as a weapon. I mean, it's amazing. You don't do that as much anymore. It doesn't matter as much anymore. But back in the day, you consciously put that shit in your game specifically because you knew it was going to get marketing, moist, if you will. All right, fellas, that's it. I'm fried. It's 10 o'clock, 10:15 here on the West Coast. I may be streaming tonight. If not, I'll be streaming again later in the week. But in the meantime, Rob the Mod, thank you. Bukaki Drive-By, thank you. Thank you guys all for being great mods. Thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you for the conversation. And I will see you guys very soon. Seriously.